Hi Year 7, welcome to our Island Nation Lesson 5. Today we're looking at the population in the UK. Assuming that you're doing an asynchronous lesson, you need the Google Docs and the PDF open. So, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to have a think about what the population of the UK is. So have a guess, and then you click this and it'll open you with the current UK population. I'm going to close that quickly. It'll be different from what I just had it there when you do the lesson. And then there's a bit of a thinking task. Can you answer these questions in your head? Okay, and the answers are on the next page. Just to recap the learning we've been doing over this topic and to think about some things we might look at today. The answers are on the next page, so I'll skip those. So what we're looking today has to do with this map, which is why we start with it. So I want you to think about what it's showing you. It says here, population distribution of the United Kingdom, crowded in between few people. This is a choropleth map using shaded colouring to show data. And what it's actually showing us here is that some areas, London, Manchester, are densely populated, whereas some areas are sparsely populated. Densely means there's a lot, sparsely means there's not very many. There's few people or it's crowded. So the UK has an uneven distribution of people, and you can add this definition for population density onto your worksheet. You may, as a top geographer, want to add down definitions for densely. Remember, a high population density is a densely populated, lots of people living there, it's crowded. Sparsely means few people living in the area. This is a more detailed map showing you a little bit more categories, so you can really see the areas that are densely populated. Okay, be careful. This map's bigger than this one, so it's more stretched out. So that area there is actually Liverpool and Manchester. This only shows England, so that's Newcastle over there. The next maps, that's the one we've just seen in terms of density. Okay, and this is change. So areas that are darker have actually had an increase in population, whereas areas that are lighter have perhaps even had a decrease in population. So you've got two tasks here. The first one is to, on the first map, and if we go to our worksheet, it's this map here, the density map. You've got to pick out an area that's densely populated and an area that's sparsely populated. I've picked out two for your example, but you might want to choose Birmingham and South Wales, West Wales, for example. And I want to think about why that might be the case. So you might draw on last lesson looking at relief. You might think about what resources, how close they are to Europe, transport in those areas, for example in London. The climate, how much rain, okay, how cold, how warm it is. And where people might move to when they come to live in the country. Do they want to move to rural areas or do they want to move to cities? And you can answer those on your worksheet. If you're doing this as an async lesson, you could Google, why is London so densely populated? Why is North Wales not very densely populated? Then we're going to have a look at the change map, why some areas are growing and some areas are shrinking. So Cardiff, for example, is an area that's shrinking. People are moving away from urban areas there. Whereas in the East Anglia, people are moving into the countryside. Why? Again, you could Google if you're not sure, okay, to help you with this. So that's where the population of the UK lives. In terms of what it's like in terms of the numbers of people, males and females and ages, this is a population pyramid. Okay, we call it pyramid because it's roughly pyramid shaped, and it essentially shows you the number of people in each age category that are female or male. So if we go to 0 to 4-year-olds in 2016, there are about 2 million 0 to 4-year-old boys and about 1.9 million 0 to 4-year-old girls in the UK. What you've got to do, once you've understood this, and I've directed you to the video for it, is to answer these questions here and think about how might it change in the future. What's going on that might mean the shapes is not quite the same. There are some answers on the next slide. I'll skip over those. So you've learned a little bit about where people live in the UK, densely and sparsely populated areas, and you've learned a bit about the gender sort of split and age split of the UK. So I want you to comment on something that you've learnt, okay, in your Google Doc, in your chat, on the work when you submit it. If you are someone who is really interested in this, you may go on to look at the ethnicity breakdown of the UK if you've got some time. Okay, I didn't include that in this lesson because of the amount of work here as well. Okay, but hopefully you've learned something. If you could leave a comment about what you have learned. Have a nice day.